you ready for today?
I'm ready.
Yes?
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Racks up. Racks up. Racks up. Racks up. Yeah. Yeah. See. Racks up, racks up. Got them stacks up, stacks up. Hope you can catch up, catch up. Racks up, racks up. I'm about to act up, act up. Got them racks up, racks up. Got them stacks up, stacks up. I'm about to act up, act up. 2021. Listen, shawty, you won. Pass that great coupon. No longer sleeping on the floor.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in today to Living in the Moment with Let Us Live magazine. I'm your host, Oroscia L, and today we have none other than the musician, producer, photographer, overall creative, Ricardo Valentine, aka Sickflo. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I am wonderful. So we want to get right into it for all of the viewers. I know that you're originally from Baltimore, Maryland.
That's right.
And throughout my research, it seems that you are the youngest of 4 siblings.
That's right.
Very nice. So I want to talk about who was young Sickflo.
The one that followed the brothers around. Well, the brother around.
Okay.
One brother that I just followed around a lot. Like I watched him basically.
Okay.
Whatever he was doing, I wanted to do.
Got
You know
it.
what I mean, like that's how I started rapping. That's how I was a DJ first. My brother Dante, he's next to me in age, and whatever I saw him touch, he rocked it. So I was like, man, I want to do that. And I want to do that, and I want to do that, and I just never stopped. I just followed him until I developed my own skills, and here I am.
Very nice. So are your brothers still in the music industry as well? No.
No.
Okay. You're the one that took off for
I
it.
mean, I look at it like this was a dedication to him. He passed something on to me, so I was like, oh man, you give me something, I ain't gonna let it go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep on rocking it. I gotta make you proud.
I like that. So other than obviously influencing you and all of your hip-hop endeavors, right? How would you say that your childhood ultimately shaped you in terms of your parents and kind of growing up in Baltimore? How did that shape the man that you are today?
Well, Baltimore was pretty wild.
Okay.
So much talent in Baltimore, but the opportunity isn't there. So what I saw my parents do a lot of was work. Like they worked. So that hustle came from me watching them just work. Watching my brothers like hustle. Being in the neighborhood, I had some friends that were rappers. It was a few, you know. So they used to come over to the house. They'd be like, "Hey man, we're gonna school you. We're gonna train you. We're gonna bring you up." It was a group called the Golden Boys back in the day, and they were like always on the radio. So we had a station that was like how V is, but they used to always show love to the local talent. So we had We Rock Crew, Golden Boys, and it was one in the Newmarks.
Okay.
A lot of people don't understand or don't know the history. Kevin Lyles came from the Newmarks.
Really?
Yeah. So I used to listen to Kevin, but I was a rapper then, and I'm like, that Girl, You Know It's True, when that record came out, I was like, they are going to blow up. Not knowing that Milli Vanilli was going to steal it. Not knowing that Kevin and them was going to get that lawsuit. You know what I mean?
Understood.
Changed the game, but that's what it was. Coming up, I just had, I had a lot to look up. A lot to look up to. I mean, it was troubled times. I mean, we didn't really have much around us, but a lot of, drugs, crime, that was the life. But my brother made sure, he was like, yo, you don't do this. You stick with this. So when my parents got them first turntables, we got one turntable at a time.
Yes.
One Christmas we got a turntable. The next Christmas we got another turntable. Well, it probably wasn't that long in between. But buying records at the record store, wind up working in record stores. So my passion for it grew even more.
Okay.
Because I was always around music then. So with my parents in a house with their 45s and their vinyl playing music, it's like I always heard music and just found that love that it was already in me. My uncle, before he passed away, but he was a guitar player. My other uncle is a bass player and singer. So it's like, it was in the family.
Yeah.
I just didn't know it.
Understood.
You know what I mean? But that's what I had. That's what kept me out of trouble.
Understood. So I'm hearing, obviously, it was in you, it was in the family. But if you had to truly pinpoint, right, the exact moment where Sickflo said to himself, I love this thing. When was that?
It was a couple of occasions. One was I had a little transistor radio that I found, and I wound up getting picking up a station in New York,
Okay.
which was crazy because it was like this little radio and this little antenna. I heard hip hop,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yo, what is this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just kind of felt like every other day I was on that radio trying to find that sound again and couldn't find it. And then we had the box come out back then, which was the video channel. You know, seeing Run DMC for the first time, seeing the movie Crush Groove, and then later, you know, House Party, you know, with Kid and Play.
Mm-hmm.
And watching Kid and Play getting funky video one day was the moment for me. I was watching that video and hearing the sound and just watching them, like with the whole outdoor in the street, the dancing, the turntables, the people. I looked at that video. I was like, yo, that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember a tear coming down my eye because I identified with that's what I want to do. But it was deeper than that because fast forward, I never knew that I was going to meet Play and work with Play. But that happened, you know. But yeah, that was it. That was that moment.
So I actually want to talk about that, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but you were actually managed by Play of Kid and Play, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Can we talk about that experience? That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So Play and I met from. Okay, so I had a manager first, right?
Okay.
Named Tobago. I used to work for Tobago in a record store. So I transitioned from Baltimore to Atlanta back in that whole record store thing. You know, pretty much that's where I stayed. That I managed a lot of record stores and getting into Atlanta. I met Tobago from DBS Sounds, which is one of the last standing. It's only a few record stores left, independent record stores left. Black owned. It's been 20 years, I think,
Nice.
or maybe a little bit more, but
Yeah.
he holding it down. So
Understood.
working for him, sharing the talent with him, he's like, man, I'm gonna help you. He became my manager, get me on the radio. I met Shaka Zulu. I remember him taking me to 107.9 to meet Shaka. Shaka and Luda just blew up, so Shaka was transitioning out of there. He was like, yo, that was the last time I believe he worked there. And he introduced me to a guy named Boogie Black that changed his name to Boogie Bless. I did the intro for the show.
Okay.
And that started everything. So when Play came down and got interviewed, I believe he heard one of the songs and he got my number.
Nice.
He was like, yo, who is this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm working at DBS one day. I get a call. Hey, this is Christopher Play Martin. And I know the voice and I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
There's nobody around. You know what I'm saying? So I'm by myself and I'm just like geeking out. I'm like, hey, you know, trying to be cool. Like, what's up? And he's like, hey, man, listen, I've been listening to you. I heard your music. I want to champion your ministry is what he told me.
I love that.
Word? Like, what's a ministry?
Yeah,
you know what
I
I'm
get
saying?
that though.
So that's what he said. And that changed everything. I think about 99, I signed my first deal with him. He started a record label called Rap Land Recordings and put an album out. First single was called 4. It was a group, Infinity, a young lady named Explicit, myself. Was anybody else on that record? Because the whole album was a compilation. So it was brother to brother. Like it was such a big deal. Because when we did the record, I was like, yeah, I won't be working no more for nobody. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it didn't happen like that. You know what I'm saying?
Understood.
It was some more time, but I do remember Play hitting me up, getting gigs for me. I started making money, like better money than what I was making on the job. So if it took me a week to make $500 on the job, I would make it in a day working with Play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that just changed my perspective because once I started seeing it, I was like, well, man, I can do this.
Absolutely.
You know, I just got to put in some more work and That's what it did. Playing out to this day, that's like Big Bro.
I love that. What's the biggest advice that you would say Play has given you?
He's given me a lot of advice. That's a good one. That's because he's really taught me a lot. I mean, I remember going out on the road, and sometimes I would get in conversations with some young ladies, and Play would just pop up. He would just like appear. Let's go. Put his arm around me, and I never knew why. I was like, why does he do this all the time? Because I'm just trying to be nice.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking at it like, oh, I'm about to
live your life.
Right. And one day I realized, and it was when he wasn't around, because I was talking to a young lady, and that was my first experience of, hey, this is a groupie. I didn't know groupies existed.
Okay.
But this is what he was working to keep me away from the whole time. And I was like, man, this is crazy. But I mean, it's so much, so many different life lessons. He just always was there. You know what I mean? So advice-wise, I would just say from watching him be an example, he was teaching me just to be an example. So, I mean, he told me too much for me to be like, hey, the best thing he said, I think it was the best things that he showed me. You know what I mean? Like,
Understood.
That's it right there. He showed me to be an example. Him being an example helped me to think, be like, oh, I need to walk this way. I need to do this way. I need to,
Absolutely, to stay focused as well.
Yeah.
I like that. What would you say to date has been one of the biggest moments for your career?
Too many.
If you had to
Great
pick
question.
one. If you had to pick one.
That's rough. I mean, because the biggest things that I would say my career would be looking at my sons. You know what I'm saying?
We'll get into that.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Personally, I think the moment that shifted a lot for me is when I got the phone call from Billboard, and they were like, hey man, you guys are charting. And I'm like, well, yeah, you've been charting for a certain amount of weeks, and then to come to find out, I think we had a song called They Don't Know I was in a group called Platinum Souls, and we charted for over 38 weeks. We made number one here in Atlanta.
Nice.
I remember Janet Jackson having a single out at the same time. We still was number one.
Hey.
So that was one of the biggest moments, but it was a lot. It was a lot because we did over 260 something events per year for about 7 years straight. So that's a lot. You know what I mean? That's a lot that a lot of mainstream artists at the time just weren't doing, especially we didn't have management when I was in that group. We just had friends. We had friends like Play. We had another friend, Michelle Duffy. They would make a call or two, get us on television, from television to radio, from radio to magazines. And you know what I mean? Like
I love
it just kept on. It was such a ripple effect.
Yeah.
It just kept on.
Understood.
Snowball.
That's how it should be though, right?
Exactly.
And speaking of magazines, right, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, obviously, pick this lovely thing up. You were on the cover, right, of issue number 4, Legends and Legacy for Let Us Live magazine. What was that experience like for you?
Milestone, I would say.
Okay.
This is a very big, to me, this is a huge deal right here, because I believe that this was the moment when things shifted for me as a solo artist.
Nice.
I've been in a lot of groups from Baltimore to Atlanta, and this was that moment when I'm stepping out and I'm like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna take this solo thing seriously. And being recognized by LUL was like, hey man, we see you, and we want the world to see you. So let us give you this stamp. You know what I mean? And that sparked some things, because I got some other calls and they was like, hey, we want you for the cover. Hey, we want you for this. Hey, we want you for that. So that's the beginning of that whole snowball effect again. You know what I mean? It was really that moment where it was like, okay, you know that sound from the microwave thing?
Yes.
It's ready. That's it. That's that right there for me.
Okay, that makes sense. So it was a very, very good article, right, written by Sid the Great, so shout out to him. And it was entitled True Legends Leave a Legacy. And that seems to be your motto.
Yep.
Can we talk about that and what that really means to you?
Well, I remember writing a song some years ago, and I remember when I got to the end, closing the song. That's something I learned from a lot of the greats that I've been around. A lot of pioneers always said, you know, when you close a song, it has to be something memorable.
Okay.
And at the end of this song, I said, true legends leave a legacy. And I was thinking about it like, it just came out of me. It wasn't like, oh, let me plan this. It was like, it flowed out, and I thought about my sons at the moment. I thought about my daughter. I thought about everything that I would be leaving once I'm no longer here. So that's to me what makes a legend. Like when you leave something, when you leave a legacy, when you make an impact, to me that's what gives you that title of legend. You know what I mean? Like some people like, I'm a legend, but what have you done? You know, what have you left? What are you, you know what I mean? What are you setting up for the people to actually, if you are gone, will they have something to hold on to? You know, something to grow from.
Yes.
So that's what that means to me. Like, I'm determined to make sure I'm leaving something for everybody. You know what I mean? Not just my own, but everybody that I encounter is like, I got to leave something for.
Absolutely. Would you say that that's kind of what motivates you daily?
Every day. Yep, every day. Some days I chill. Like this is a chill, super chill week for me. I've been chilling for about 2 weeks actually. But every day when I get up, I'm thinking miracles. I'm thinking do something different. Push yourself. Stretch yourself. Do something you've never done. Challenge yourself. So I, you know, even with the music part of it, I may rap off of a track that I've never rapped off before because it's like I may listen to it and I'm like, I don't really like that, or I can't really flex off of that. And it's like, oh, really? Why don't you try? You know what I mean? Even with other business endeavors, it's like if I haven't been successful in certain areas, it's like, well, let me go for it. Let me see. That's how I started doing photography. I was like, hey, I like this.
Yes.
Well, let me keep on trying. And
Yes.
My phone don't stop ringing. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm not in the studio, I'm on set shooting somebody, some model, some artist, some act. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Something.
Just busy, which is a good thing. Well, continuing with this article, you mentioned in it that your life lesson, right, of not allowing fear to dominate and dictate your decisions.
Right.
And I thought that that was very powerful. So can we kind of talk about that? I want to know about the experiences that potentially led to that, and how you keep that kind of indoctrinated in your mind daily.
Well, coming from Baltimore, right? Coming up, I felt like I didn't have a lot.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we weren't. It wasn't a poverty thing. It's just that inside of me is so much wealth, and when you move that way, when you're made that way, you want everything that you think of, or everything that you desire.
Yes.
So there were some things in my life that I lost, that I feel that I lost because of fear.
Okay.
Like, it could have been a moment. I remember a friend telling me, hey, you know what? You're so cool, but sometimes you're not assertive enough. And a lot of times when I walked in that space of not being assertive, it was because of fear. Maybe I didn't want to hurt somebody's feelings. Maybe I was in fear of if they react a certain way, I'm going to react a certain way.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it was so many things that operating in fear stopped me from literally living my best life and having all of the things that I want. And then I can't say just this year, but last year, dealing with what we dealt with COVID, was when I began to think different. I began to think like, man, I lost some things because I was just straight fearful.
Okay.
I'm like, well, how about if I'm just not doing that no more? You know what I mean? Like, of course I'll encounter it, but it's like now when I encounter it, am I going to walk away triumphant, or am I going to tuck and roll like I did back in the day? And I just started doing some different things. Like, hey, you know what? Why can't I get the car that I want?
Yeah.
I never got it before because I was afraid that I couldn't pay for it. But then I did it, and the money just comes.
Yeah.
Money's gonna come when you're not afraid of it. So even with giving, I give. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid of giving. The more I just give, the more I make room for more. So yeah, I lost some stuff that made me feel like I gotta do away with that fear thing, because I don't want to be the person that lives life and is like, oh, I could have done that if I wasn't afraid at that moment, you know. So
that's powerful.
Yeah.
And I think that that's powerful just because, for one, right, just the comfort of even being, or confidence of even being able to talk about that.
Yeah.
But also I think it's a very human thing,
It
right?
is.
We all want to succeed. We all always want to be, you know, kind of the best at what we do. But being able to eliminate or move past fear is a big deal. It's a big deal.
You know that saying, people say it all the time. They say you have not because you ask not.
Hey.
A lot of times people don't ask because they are afraid of the no. So I've heard a bunch of no's, and now it's like I'm not afraid anymore. Imagine being in a space where someone has the connection that you want, but you're afraid to talk to the person, but that person is right across from you, and you just don't want to say nothing because you're scared.
Yes.
Like, why?
Yes.
You know, just get the no if you're going to get the no.
Right.
Or you may get the yes for the first time because you decided to be like, hey, I'm not going to be fearful.
You just
I'm
might.
going to be fearless.
Yes. Yes, you know what they say, closed mouths don't get fed, right? So it's a very true statement. So also referring to the article, because again, I just thought it was really, really good. But your legacy, right, of speaking life into people who have given up and helping them to revive their dreams. Can we talk about kind of the core of where that comes from for you?
The core,
Yeah.
man, that goes way back to before I was a teenager, actually.
Okay.
I would give all of my friends in my neighborhood nicknames. And those nicknames still stick with these guys today. And they're in their 40s and 50s and get ready to be 60. Like, seeing that and understanding that that was a gift and it was a superpower of mine. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, being able to speak things into existence made me feel like, okay, well, if I can give a person a name and that thing can carry out through a lifetime, why don't I try some different things?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So if I see a thing in a person, it's easy for me to recognize. I remember saying what I've said about new marks back in the day, and I remember my first time getting my hands on a Brandy CD, and it was just a promotional CD. And I was like, this girl's gonna blow up.
Yes.
I remember seeing Beyonce for the first time with Destiny Child. They were on tour with Jagged Edge, and they was doing a promo tour. I think it was called the Young Soul Power Tour, something like that.
Okay.
But I remember when Beyonce came out, I looked at her and I was like, it's not because she looks good, but I see something and I feel something. She's going to blow up.
Yes.
So every time I said that, I remember working with Rough Ends out of Baltimore, met them at the Apollo, and I'm like, man, you guys are incredible. Like, who are y'all working with? And they were like, you know, well, have y'all been in the studio?
Wow.
You know, hey, I'm getting y'all in the studio because y'all gonna blow. And they actually did that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So there's so many people in my life that I've encountered that speaking, even with my sons. I remember the Green Room. It was a venue that Terry J. Vaughn, the actress, had, and I used to host it. And I remember bringing him in as the featured artist, because the way I used to think was like, man, how do you make people feel like this person is like this? You feature them. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Even if they're not there yet. And if you do it first, that shows that,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It shows who you are and what you see and the gifts that you have. So I remember speaking to the people when they clapped it up for them after the show one night. I said, man, that wasn't good enough because y'all don't know that y'all just sitting in front of a multi-platinum artist.
Wow.
It wasn't yet. It didn't happen yet, but it didn't happen. So I've seen this gift work over and over and over. So it's like I'm so familiar with it, and it's always proven itself. There's probably been only a few people that I've said, hey, you're going to do this, and didn't see the fruit from it. And that could possibly just be they may have given up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But the potential was there. The call was on them, you know what I mean, and I could see it, you know. So yeah.
So would you say, and it sounds like what I'm hearing, that you're pretty big on manifestation in your own life? Yeah.
Huge on it. Yeah, I've seen some things happen from when I was a kid. One of my first girlfriends, didn't know her, seen her from across the street, never spoke to her before. I was like, that's gonna be my girlfriend, right?
Yes.
I went home, walking around in my kitchen. That's gonna be my girl. I don't know who she is. I don't know if she's gonna pop up. I'm gonna see this girl again.
Yes.
And it may have taken about a year or two, but I ran into her again. She was one of my friend's cousins.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's the girl.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my girlfriend. Like in my head, right? We wound up going to the same school, riding the same bus.
Oh.
One day I walked her home, and she was like, "No, I'm good. I got somebody." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
All right. Walking back, like, man, she got somebody, but that's gonna be my girlfriend. She was my girlfriend like 3 months later.
Hey.
You know what I mean? It lasted maybe a half a year.
But it happened.
But it happened.
Yes.
So even with the car driver, I took a picture of it. That's gonna be my car.
Which is very nice.
And thank you very much.
Yes.
That's just the beginning. You know what I mean? It's like, that's a muscle that we work. You know what I mean? When you get so used to it, it's like, now I can do this thing. Like, oh, I know what this is. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do now. That's what I'm gonna do now. Oh, I'm gonna start my own business. Oh, my business is gonna be this. You know what I mean? It's a thing. You just have to develop the muscle, work the muscle, build it up. And speaking is is one of the most powerful things that we can do.
Oh, absolutely.
The tongue is a super strong muscle.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. The power of life and death living
That's
your
right.
tongue, right?
That's right.
So going back to kind of you helping people to revive their dreams, who's done that for you?
I would say my circle.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I would say,
Really?
oh yeah,
Okay.
this is the, you know what I mean? This is the jump start right here.
Yes.
This is like, I told you.
Yes.
Little, you know, that little voice is like, I told you. You know what I mean? And this is how it happened for me back then when I was in the group. The first thing that sparked it was the magazine. So we went, and you know how that happened? My partner and I, we used to put on our vision board. We used to cut out Jet. We used to cut out Ebony. We used to cut out the Source. We used to cut out Double XL. We would put it on the board, and we would walk past the board, and we would be like, we're going to be on the cover of that. We're going to be on the cover of that. We weren't on the cover of those magazines, but magazines started to call us. Magazines started to email us and finding out about us.
Yeah.
And and most of them were like startup magazines.
Okay.
So it was like, oh, he was on the cover of that. And then when that magazine started moving, another cover source, and it was like, oh, we want y'all. Oh, we want y'all. And this thing happened, and I think we stopped at maybe 8 covers. But it was all of the speaking thing.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. So you've mentioned it kind of a few times here and there, so I definitely want to get into it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you are a father of 3 kids?
3.
Yes, that would be 2 boys, 1 girl.
That's right.
And out of your 3 kids, 2 of them have kind of decided to follow in your footsteps. That would be rappers I-47 and actually Grammy-nominated rapper Black, correct?
3-time Grammy.
I think it's 3 as well. I think that's a big deal. So of course I have to ask, what does that feel like to see them continuing what you started? What does that feel like to you?
It feels like if I had nothing else to say, I could just be quiet and not say anything.
Okay.
Because the legacy is in motion. So for anybody that may have said, oh, he didn't do his part, I did my part. You know what I mean? They are out there. They're doing what they're doing. They're constantly evolving. They're constantly helping people, changing lives. So it's like, I feel like the parts of me are like out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Touching.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So if I was just chilling, I could really just chill. It's just like I still got so much more to do and so much more to say. You know what I mean? Like, I feel great about it.
Yeah,
It makes me feel very accomplished. Yeah. You know, some people say, I know you're proud, I know you're proud. I'm like, it's bigger than just being proud. It's really feeling that God is like, not only did I answer your prayers from way back then, but it's like, I'm showing you that I love you through all of this. You know what I'm saying?
So throughout my research, right, I also saw that there were times and periods where you would bring your sons on tour with you.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
That was awesome. It was scary in the beginning stages.
Okay.
Like, my biggest fear was who has to go to the restroom first, right?
That matters though.
Because they were either on the side of the stage, in front, or like, you know, right in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember one day, wow, this was very, I didn't know what to do. But at some point, my daughter broke away from my oldest and his brother, and she ran on stage and started dancing.
All right.
So at first I was like, oh man, what is the person that booked me going to do?
Yeah.
And she just was on stage like just doing this, like it wasn't like she came out and danced like how she can dance.
Yeah.
She was just moving, and I was like, ooh, okay, I'm gonna keep on moving and play along with this, and it's gonna work out. And it worked out.
Yeah.
It worked out, but it was like, man, I'm in trouble. That's how I was thinking. But it worked. It was fun taking them, you know, with me everywhere. A lot of local things here, and I think I took my daughter to a couple different states with me, and the boys were just learning. You know what I mean? Like, one thing about my oldest is, you put him in the room, he's gonna be very silent, and he's gonna pay attention to what's going on, and he's gonna pick up on some things. He's gonna learn what to do, what not to do, how to be, how not to be, what's good, what's bad. You know what I mean? And he's gonna take it all in, analyze it. He's just one of those type of, you know, and the youngest is more of the youngest boy is more of a protector. So he's more watchful to be like, hey, you know, let me make sure ain't nobody saying I'm slick about Pops, or let me, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He's in that space. He's the one that's like, he's a Leo, so he's like the lion.
Yes.
He's ready to snap, you know, at any moment. But he's kind of calmed down, you know. He's a bit more chill than how he used to be. He used to be like, pow, pow, pow. Mm-hmm. But I know from him watching his brother, and his brother being in a leadership position, there's times where he could have went off, but he's like, yo, that's not how we're gonna handle this. We're gonna do this like this, and we're gonna do this like that. Mm-hmm. And he's seen me in that same space before, where I could have literally lost it, but I decided to be like, you chill, you know, we're gonna work this out in a different way.
Yes.
You know?
Understood. What advice do you give to your sons when it's just you all? No magazines, no photo shoots, no concerts, no Grammy Awards. What advice do you just give to them when it's just you all?
Well, here's a different shift now, because now that they are grown, we're in a space where, and just as men and the men in our family, we a lot of times don't give advice unless we're asked. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If someone asks, then we share.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I believe that all of us move the same way, and we are moving in this way of leading by example. Be the example. Be the example. But they got it. Like, here's things where, as you get, you know, a bit more mature, things switch with the parent-child, you know, role. Like, I remember my mom used to call me for advice. Mm-hmm. So now, if I want, I can call my oldest for some advice. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm.
That's good. That means you've done well.
Then my youngest boy, he's a sponge, you know. So it's pretty much like, he's always open to whatever I got to say. That's just who he is. Mm-hmm. It's like, yo, I get a lot from, kind of like how I got a lot from my brother.
Yes.
the middle one gets a lot from me because he's just like, oh, I'm waiting here with this net. You know, Dad, throw all of the fish up in here like I'm ready to, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, but the oldest, he's learned from traveling so much and having a great team that, not saying that he knows everything, but he's pretty settled in knowing how to figure things out, just being the grown man and being, you know, coming up, you know, under the right type. You know, his mom was very strict, you know, and she was the educated one. I was the street one.
Okay.
I was the hustler. She was the go to school. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So he has the best of both worlds. The younger one is the same. I feel like we all have our ancestors' DNA moving through us. You know what I'm saying?
Understood.
And so we just have a lot that we, you know, a lot of times if we need something, that thing might jump right in our ear, right in our heart, right in our spirit, like we got it, you know. So yeah, they pretty good.
Yeah.
I can call them for advice.
So what would you say is next for you in your endeavors, right? You've just recently been on the cover, as mentioned, of LUL magazine. I know that your schedule is constantly busy, even though you're giving yourself a gift and chilling for right now. But what's next for you?
The album is coming in the fall.
All right.
Yeah, a product of 1252. Not a whole lot of features, but I can say it's featuring I-47 and Black.
Okay.
You know.
Yes.
If I could pull my daughter back in just for one moment, because she's so talented. But she told me she retired.
Okay.
You know, but she's.
So your daughter,
she can sing.
really? Okay.
She can do all of that stuff. They all have, to me, they all have more talent than what I have.
Okay.
I feel like I passed a portion and they had a double portion. Yeah. And then they developed their own in there where they are. So if I can get her on an album, that would be great. But I know even if she just says something, that would be pretty dope. The album for the fall 2021.
It's coming up.
That's pretty much the main thing. I'm back hosting a lot of events. I'm getting called for I'm on a lot of different albums coming out. The new Onyx album just dropped. I'm on that. It's called Onyx for Life.
Okay.
Which is a legendary pioneering group. You know what I mean? Fredro Stars, Sticky Fingers, shout out my 100 Mad crew. I'm on that album. Dope D.O.D. They're from the Netherlands. Biggest out of the Netherlands.
All right.
They got another album. I was on there on the last album. They got something coming out. I'm on that album. I'm on a lot of different collaborations that I'm about to leave to go to Baltimore to shoot. I'm from Baltimore, baby, which is Mike Brosis, Nick Styles, and Mully Man. About to go shoot the video for that in about another week.
Okay.
It's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Like I-47 and I got a couple of records. I just don't know which one to release. So it's so much. I may or may not, I'm not sure yet, but it's just been in my head. Back in, back in the day, I had a couple of different lines that I did clothing-wise. I may do some stuff with the Sickflo brand.
Okay.
Possibility. Because I got a lot of different sayings and different artwork I may just drop. And I'm pushing myself to release one of these books. I wrote about 3. So.
I feel like we just got a really big exclusive, so thank you for that.
Yeah,
thank you for that. So I have to ask, whenever I get the opportunity to sit with creatives, what does that do for you internally?
Being a creative?
Yeah. What does it feel like for you?
It's like the lifeline. It feels like the heartbeat.
Yeah.
You know, without it, you know, for so many people, family, friends, they may have thought, man, this guy is crazy. I really feel like without the arts, I feel like I'm nothing. These are the things and the gifts that have kept me alive, kept me from making the worst decisions. Not saying I haven't made bad decisions before. Actually, I mean, I like to even clean that up because every decision that I made, I feel like I was supposed to make.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You learned a lesson
So for
from it.
all of y'all out there that be like, oh, they didn't make a dumb decision. You made the decision you were supposed to make because it's connecting you to something. So all of my decisions of the past, I'm actually grateful for them.
Yes.
I'm not grateful for anybody that I may have hurt. If I've hurt you, forgive me.
Mhm.
I didn't do that intentionally.
Mhm.
But it's like these gifts are like amazing to me because they keep me going. You know, they keep me motivated. They help me to stay in this space of the more I can gain, the more I can give. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And the only reason why I want so much is because I want to give so much.
I love that.
You know, so it's never been about the money. So, you know, some people see me, they see what I drive, they see how I like to live,
Yeah.
and they think it's a money thing. It's like, nah, this is all, it's all the presence that I'm connected to. You know, this is for me, it's all kingdom. You know what I'm saying? I gotta be the king. I gotta look the part.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I don't like stuff that's not all of that. If that person out there don't like it, then that's them. I like being fly. I like being fresh. It's
Absolutely.
not about I'm just trying to, you know what I mean? You know how some people be like, oh, he's just flossing. Oh, no, I'm just living the life that was cut. This was cut out for me.
Yes.
If I'm living any other way, I'm not being myself. So, you know, my biggest advice to everybody is to be you. If you like to chill, if you like to be regular, then that's you.
Yeah.
If I like to be extra and I like to be legendary, then that's me.
Nobody can beat you at being you, right?
Nobody.
Yeah. I love that. Well, sir, it has been a true pleasure. Thank you for all of the advice that you've given. Thank you for the wisdom. Thank you for sharing your time. You know, even gems about your family as well. And thank you for just being a part of the LUL fam. You know, we certainly appreciate you. Absolutely. Until next time, thank you for tuning in. Again, I'm your host, Oroscia L, and you have officially lived in the moment.
Racks up. Racks up. Racks up. Racks up. Yeah. Yeah. See. Racks up, racks up. Got them stacks up, stacks up. Hope you can catch up, catch up. Racks up, racks up. I'm about to act up, act up. Got them racks up, racks up. Got them stacks up, stacks up. I'm about to act up, act up. 2021. Listen, shawty, you won. Pass that great coupon. No longer sleeping on the futon. Ripping up coupon. Stepping out, boots on. Repping my true song. Black market, no Louboutin. Get this, it's the business, let me fix this. Don't get it twisted. I keep the biscuit, risk it. I won't risk it, don't you risk it. I enlisted, listen, I've been a misfit, wishing for the line. Whole time I've been twisted in the vine. Whole time I've been sipping on this wine. Whole time I've been tripping.